Now, I'm sure many of you remember that Black Ops 4 is the only game in the series to introduce one of the most unique features we've ever seen in zombies, that being difficulty settings. Black Ops 4 comes with 4 difficulty settings. First, you can play on casual difficulty, which gives you a little bit extra health, and also decreases the number of zombies per round and the health of the zombies, making it much easier for beginners to play the game. Then you have normal difficulty, which gives you the standard health, and the same number of zombies per round as we had in previous games. But most notably, there is a health cap on round 35, meaning the zombies' health does not increase after that point. Then you have hardcore difficulty, which has the same number of zombies as normal, but you have a little bit less health. And most notably, the zombies do not have a health cap, meaning the zombies' health will continue to increase as time goes on, just like it did in the previous games. And of course you have realistic difficulty, which gives you no self-revives to start, only 1 hit before you go down, and most importantly, there are more zombies per round and they are significantly stronger. And realistic difficulty is, well, although a vast majority of players only normally play on normal difficulty, all of the difficulty options in Black Ops 4 make it one of the most interesting competitive zombies games. But what if I told you that Black Ops 4 was not the first game to have difficulty settings? Believe it or not, Treyarch actually hid secret difficulty settings all the way back in Black Ops 1. Now, I'm sure some of you are already confused, because if you try to load into a game on Black Ops 1, there's no difficulty settings. All it does is let you choose the map. But let me explain how this works. If you load into a zombies game normally, you will be set to normal difficulty by default. However, if you load into campaign on a difficulty of your choice, and then immediately save and quit, and then load into a zombies game, you will load into zombies on the difficulty that you chose on campaign. Here I have loaded into the game on Hardened Difficulty, but it doesn't look any different. So what has actually changed? Let's talk about the differences between all 4 difficulty settings on Black Ops 1. Here I've loaded in and I'm using a mod that shows a health bar on the screen. Starting with normal difficulty. There's a few things to note about normal difficulty that will change on the other difficulties. Now, what you'll notice is when I get hit, it takes 2.4 seconds for me to heal back to normal health. Additionally, assuming I have Juggernog and I get hit 4 times, I will go into a red screen. If you get red screened, it overrides the 2.4 second health regeneration, and instead it starts a 5-second timer after which you will heal. And most notably, when I run through the traps do the normal damage, which in this case is 16 damage per tick. Now I'm going to load into the game on Hardened Difficulty. First thing that you'll notice is when I get hit by a zombie, it now takes only 1.2 seconds for me to heal instead of the normal 2.4 seconds. Additionally, if I get hit 3 times, it's going to activate a red screen. On normal difficulty, the red screen happens at 20% health. But on Hardened Difficulty, it happens at 30% health. Now, what this does mean is that if you get hit 3 times, it will still take 5 seconds for you to fully heal, but you get 1 extra hit before you go down if you're red screened. And lastly, when I run through the trap actually does double the damage of what it does on normal difficulty. What's most interesting about having a faster health regeneration on Hardened is that your health regenerates so quickly that George cannot kill you by himself. Next, I'm loading into Veteran Difficulty. On Veteran Difficulty, the health regeneration speed is the same as it is on Hardened. If I get hit, it takes 1.2 seconds for me to heal. However, the biggest difference is my red screen health. If I have Juggernog, that looks exactly the same as it does on Hardened, where 3 hits gets me a red screen, I still have a 4th hit to stay alive, and then the 5th hit kills me, of course. However, the biggest difference on Veteran comes without Juggernog. On Veteran, the red screen starts at 50% health, which doesn't change anything when you have Juggernog, but that means without Juggernog, you will be red screened in 1 hit, which is kind of strange, because without Juggernog, it will take you 5 seconds to heal every time you get hit by a zombie. And lastly, running through a trap does 3 times the amount of damage as it would on normal difficulty. Here on Veteran, it's actually quite difficult to even run through the trap at all without being killed because of how much damage it does. Now let's move on to Recruit difficulty. On Recruit, your regeneration speed is slower than it is on regular, being 3.0 seconds instead of the 2.4 on regular or the 1.2 on Hardened and Veteran. And also, your red screen only happens when you're at 1% health, meaning when you're at 2.5 health. That means that even with Juggernog, you will not get red screened by getting hit by the zombies at all, which is very strange. And again, notably, the traps only do 66% of the damage that they would do normally. So you'll notice that I can run through the trap, and it takes quite a long time for the trap to kill me. So the real question is, which difficulty should you be playing on? And the answer is, it sort of depends on what map you're playing. If you're playing on a map like Verrückt, where you constantly want to be running through traps, then it's usually better to just play on normal difficulty. You don't want to play on Recruit because you want to be able to have red screens and you want to be able to heal faster. But you don't want the traps to be doing so much damage that they get you killed. If you're playing on a map that doesn't have traps, like Moon, then it's much better to play on Hardened difficulty, because doing tricky horde-ups in a tight area is much easier when you have the faster health regeneration. Veteran difficulty, with the red screen happening so quickly, and the traps doing so much damage, is pretty much never worth playing. And Recruit difficulty with no red screens and the longest health regeneration is also pretty much never worth playing. And this works on PlayStation and on PC, but for some reason not on Xbox. I have no idea why it doesn't work on Xbox specifically, but Treyarch patched that version of the game and not the other ones. Additionally, if you're playing on Plutonium, then instead of loading into campaign and quitting out, you can just use one of these 4 console commands to change the difficulty yourself. Difficulty easy for Recruit, difficulty medium for normal, difficulty hard for Hardened, and difficulty foo for Veteran. I don't know why it's foo, that's what it is. Now, believe it or not, this same thing also works in Call of Duty World at War. It's done with the same method. Load into campaign on your difficulty of choice, and then immediately save and quit, and then load into zombies. With one important caveat. On World at War, purchasing Jug overrides how your health works, including how your health regeneration works. Meaning that it pretty much doesn't affect all that much on every single map except for Noctur and Toten. On that map, it is worth considering running on Hardened, since you can have faster health regeneration if you get hit. Unfortunately, this does not work on Black Ops 2 and beyond, only on World at War and Black Ops 1. And that is pretty much everything you need to know about how the difficulties work. Now, I do want to credit Spacetime Warper, who made an amazing video detailing all the changes and showing off how this all worked, which is where I first found out about this information. I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I also hope that you learned something, because maybe playing on a different difficulty could make it significantly easier for you all trying to go for high rounds on World at War and Black Ops 1. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you soon.